approved vendor, and the price is
Then we don't have it right,
considerable.
but it's
And
the
that
same.
the
It's
second
all
number that you
counted.
referenced in your
Oh, okay.
report, which is 6,300, that's your line item budget for the year?
Yes, I believe that is both, because we share the facility, that is the building maintenance for the electric and the building maintenance for the police department. I added those two together, yeah.
I'm looking past you, Sally, is that right?
I don't know off the top of my head, but
Okay.
there's other items in that line item.
Oh,
That would have to be accounted for.
Right, there, that would just, it handles the maintenance of anything. If we break a garage door spring, if we need lights down there, that all comes out of the building maintenance line item. This is one of those once really rare things that's not going to be handled with an annual maintenance line item. One of the issues is, there's a screen on the gate currently, and I don't think the gate was designed to handle the privacy screen, and the wind, because now it's a wall, kind of tweaks the gate. So the screen has to either go away, or the gate has to be really stronger.
will your new one have a privacy screen?
So, both companies recommend that we remove the privacy screen. No matter what they do, it's gonna be like a sail on a boat, and it's gonna cause problems. So, that will come off no matter what, it has to. The second thing is, even though the operator is currently working now, the new one, will have new sensors on the back side to prevent the gate from hitting any parked cars on the inside that might be too close to it, which will hopefully prevent any further problems with the gate being bent. And also, just to add that the operator that we have now currently will be, no longer serviceable at the end of the year. They can no longer get parts for it. So the whole cost is less than 10,000. It'll be with all the new safety features. The privacy screen will be removed from the gate, and this should clear up any issues we've had in the past.
Any other comments? Mr. Klein, Peter, I should say, ask Sally, with not opening the pool, what is that, how does that impact our budget?
Well, I caution you on thinking you have, money from not opening the pool, because
That's why
on
I'm
the reverse
asking.
side, we have income that we also accounted for. So I'd have to look at the difference of that, because the pool is not a moneymaker, so typically we have more expense than we do have income. So it is a possibility, that some of the funds could come from there. You know, going over some of the, funds that we have available, through our investment vehicles, that I would have to look at what individual one, could be utilized. I think most of the funding is electric based and not public works based, but. So I can look at that.
Oh, and you know, like Dennis noted, we have a tremendous amount of transformers sitting back there. The entire borough supply of transformers sits there. So the gate is protecting that. So if it needs to come out of the electric fund,
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with that, because it's protecting all of the electric equipment that's there.
And I did tell Matt, I mean, certainly the police department will fund some of it as well, we just don't have enough to fund the whole thing. I mean, it's clearly protecting our property, firearms, computers, stuff like that sits in the parking lot, so it's not something that I wanna keep the public out.
Mr. Solicitor, since our assets are electrical and that result will keep the electric rates low, can we take those funds from the electric trust fund?
Not from the trust fund that
It's a good
talked
try.
about before, no.
Was there another one?
No.
Can we just, to keep things moving, can we ask Sally to look at options for the next meeting, have it put on the agenda, and if she can't come up with an option, we can look at the ICDA situation or something?
Yeah, no, I there are electric, funds, under the investment umbrella that I think we could utilize.
Okay.
Could you please put together 2 or 3,
Yeah.
options that the borough could pull funds from?
So if we put that on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm fine with it unless there's any other objections. So I think I don't want to speak for the body, I think we're moving in a forward direction, it's a matter of how we're gonna pay for it.
Right.
Is that
That's
fair?
good.
Do you have anything else?
I do, trying to be quick.
No, take your
So,
time.
moving on, the, as I spoke with the mayor and, Mr. Kleinpeter in reference to an eligibility list for hiring, I'm asking the council to direct the Civil Service Commission to at least initiate the start of the procedure, which is testing, for hiring of police officers that have either left here or retired or whatever the case may be. We currently lost one officer this year. There's another one which I made council aware that is likely to be resigning here shortly. So I would like to have an eligibility list. Now, one of the things that the mayor and I talked about is there's two ways to go about that. In order to have an eligibility list, you know, Middletown back in 2000 and beyond, they would give their own exam. They would give their own written test, and they would give their own physical agility. I took it myself over at the football field. So that is what I would like to see done. But however, we rewrote the borough code with the law firm to give us the option to use the Dauphin County Consortium or our own test, or a combination thereof. So in order to, the first thing we need to do is decide how we're going to do it. What I would say to council, and I said to the mayor, is I would like us to give our own exam. It's much smaller, it'd be a smaller group of people, it's more direct. The Dauphin County Consortium, while I'm not opposed to that, will generate people from, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 states. I was kind of trying to focus it right here in Middletown and the local area. So I will say that we already have the written exam completed. I had that paid for a year ago. So if council decides that's one way to go, that's what I would suggest, that we give our own written exam. That'd be the Civil Service Commission give the written exam. And then the physical agility, we would have instructors come and do that. In either way, we need to keep an on-hand eligibility list in the event officers were to leave. Any questions?
Any questions on this list?
What do you need us to do?
What's the next step?
Direct civil service to start the procedure, decide how we're gonna go for, can we go ahead and give our own test here? They will proctor it, we gotta get a facility to proctor it, they need permission from you to start that process.
So what facility would we use, Borough Building then?
I could, you know, we could do that, or I can talk to Dr. Susky and utilize the high school or one of the other schools.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to get it started.
Do you have what, Tom?
No, I'm asking somebody to make the motion.
To do it? To do what specifically?
To move forward with his recommendation of having us.
For internal or for the county?
I think he's asking
Internal.
for us
But he wants us to do our own list.
Okay,
Own test.
that's what you're
To
asking.
amend the civil service,
We're asking the civil service, we already have either option per the way the code is written, but he's asking you to do it. Allow Middletown to move forward with their own, because he believes that's gonna hone the results to a more local type person.
In addition, the Dauphin County Consortium is not given until the first week of June, and then the second week is physical agility. The third week you would have the chance to get somebody. So you'd be looking at hiring in July, August.
So you're asking to,
Mr. Kleinpeter, do you have a motion?
oh yeah,
I'm just thinking, Jim, help me out if I missed something here, but a motion to direct Acting Chief Morris to take the required, steps and actions to, facilitate, an in-house,
Hiring process?
testing process to establish an eligibility list
so moved.
for police officers.
Second.
Meaning he can also correspond directly with the Civil Service Commission.
Right.
Can we add that into that?
I'll amend it to include the comments just, addressed by Mr. Mayor Curry.
Second.
I'm good with that.
Before I take it to council, I'd like to open this up for public comment. Seeing none, any questions from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, on a similar line, as you know, we recently lost a sergeant in the department, and one did not make the probationary period, which means there's only 2 sergeants in the department, me being one of them, and I'm currently acting in another role. We have multiple platoons, so same idea, council giving me approval to meet with civil service to start the process of giving a test for the eligibility of the sergeant position, as we are short sergeants.
Mayor Curry, your thoughts?
Same.
So moved.
The only, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alan. You say second? The only comment I would have is that we do have confirmation that the union is comfortable with the manner in which we're moving forward. That there's not gonna be a challenge to,
No, it's all by civil service rules, and we'll follow all the rules.
as long as I know the union's comfortable with it, I'm good.
Is there a motion?
Yes, there was a motion and a second, yeah.
Okay.
To pursue the sergeant position.
Okay, yeah, Sergeant eligibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Before I open it up to the council, I'd like to open it up to the public for public comment. Any public comment at this time? Seeing none, any questions or concerns from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was the motion second on
I'm sorry, it was motion by Councilor Seitz, second by Councilor Willenbecker.
that? Thank you.
Motion carries. Sneaking a lot of motions in here today.
Where's Grayson?
Yeah, we're-
We're making you earn that money.
Last thing in that field would be, obviously, we lost a sergeant who also was a detective. So, we have 83, 84 open cases. I'm gonna ask that at some point we visit, somebody being appointed to the position of detective. In the interim, I would ask that I be permitted to, maybe do 90-day career rotation development and put someone in there to assist, Detective Bloom. So I'm just asking for permission to start having people that are interested take turns going in there for a period of time, and then ultimately, when we can, appoint someone to the detective position.
How will that affect the union? I'm trying to think rotating,
With regard.
because there would
pay,
be, I'm
so-
thinking that would be sergeant pay, and if somebody's rotating that isn't currently at sergeant pay, how does that, or detective pay, sergeant pay? I'm thinking out loud here, somebody.
Well,
I don't even think Dennis needs council approval for this, because, there's another individual working in the detective capacity that I told you to put forth.
Mhm.
So I
He
think
has.
Dennis and I can work this out on our own.
If you guys can handle it and you don't need us, by all means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is everybody cool with, everybody comfortable with mayor and the chief
Yeah.
working this out? Excellent, great.
I did want to bring you up to speed on the grant that we had requested from Dauphin County. It's like the $100,000 grant towards radios. We have had multiple emails, no response. I directed Officer Smith to call this week and get a hold of Ms. Kilgore and find out like where we're at with this grant, like what's their time frame. We haven't really heard anything, so I'll try and give you an update at the next workshop meeting. Hopefully I have some type of answer for you. The last one that I'll have, and then I think council has some questions, but the school for Officer Hain, the bike school, I'd like that to be approved for him to attend that.
Get that approved tonight, or you want that on the agenda for the March?
I given it to Grace. I thought it would be approved at this one. It can be approved in the next one. I don't think it's
Not time
imperative.
sensitive?
No, it's made
Yeah, it's not imperative.
Anybody have any questions for?
Mr. Redinger, I actually have a question, Mr. Lodenslager. I know I brought this up to Canada. Mr. Lodenslager, have we made any progress with the dog leash law that was brought up last February?
So when we spoke since last February.
You sent us for Christian Diamond to review.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, no, but that's, no, I was no slave to that.
No. So, the last time we spoke about it here, I believe you guys gave me permission to deal with the solicitor, and, when, Mr. Kleinpeter talked to me today, I said, hey, we didn't really get that far, do I have permission to contact him? He's been in contact with me, I'm gonna give him some dates, I suspect we'll get working on it next week.
Okay. I just know we thought that was important to move upon last winter, and I just wanted to make sure we moved upon that.
Yes.
Okay.
Put the dog leashes to bed, please.
To the dog bed.
To the dog bed, put it to bed. Anything else for the police?
The only thing that I believe in council was asking questions was about, parking, with campers and, RVs, trailers. This is another one of those issues, so again, I'd actually turn mine so I can reach out to multiple places, so he'll take your questions and he'll kind of brief you what he thinks is best to do.
Mr. Conlon.
We do. Apparently you don't enforce it. Well, we can't enforce it.
And then put the lights on for the fire department.
So, it's my understanding one of the issues with the current ordinance that you have in place is that people are upset that it's not being enforced. I don't have that one in front of me, but I believe it allows a camper to be parked, I believe, up to 72 hours, I think, at any given time, and then there has to be some time in between, like a week or so. But that someone would be able to bring a camper in front of their house so long as it's a legal and safe parking spot. That they'd be able to load it up. I guess some of those require to have the refrigerator running for a while before they actually take it out and use it. That is the issue. It's almost impossible for the police department to be able to go to court and testify that that vehicle hasn't moved within that, or that it's been there for more than 72 hours. Manpower wise, I mean, it's almost impossible. So we have to rely on someone to call us and complain about that camper. And then with their help in testifying that the vehicle's been there for more than 72 hours, then we can proceed with the ticket. The issue is that since we can't initiate it on our own, it gives the perception to the public that we're targeting certain campers. Because when we do ticket that individual who owns that camper, they wanna know why we didn't do something about the camper down the street. We can't unless someone is willing to call us and kinda help us with clarifying that it's been there for more than 72 hours. I don't know of a great way to get around that. I know that from East Pennsboro, so I used to live in East Pennsboro, before I moved out, they actually had an ordinance which I just passed around. I'm not saying they use the whole thing, but their idea, and they use it, is to have a resident call in and to request a free permit, and they would actually give the dates that they would have the vehicle there. That would help us. I mean, it would, as I talked to Mr. Computer today, it would be difficult issuing the permits. I'm not sure how we would handle that manpower issue. But if an officer rolls up and sees a vehicle, camper, trailer, large trailer, whatever the case might be, and they don't have the permit there, then we would be able to take action immediately. Versus waiting for someone to call and complain. We can, I believe, do it more uniformly than have it look like we're targeting individuals. Or that we're only doing it occasionally. But I don't know that any of the solutions are perfect. Now, we reached out to East Pennsboro, and I'm gonna be speaking hopefully tomorrow with the secretary, who I guess has a lot of the involvement over there about handing out the permits. I know that they use their CSO program for quite a while to enforce it, that's community service officers, which they would, they do a lot of parking issues, some of the ordinances. And also, we don't have that function here. I don't have a perfect solution, but I think a model similar to this would be our best bet, if we're serious about continuing enforcement with it.
Is that something that we can have the staff downstairs handle? They have a permit available, come in, you get it, you tell them it's a free permit, so there's literally a placard that they're gonna reach behind them and grab, you're gonna tell the staff what dates it's valid, she's gonna write it in and sign it. and then it has to be in the camper windshield, and if they go by and it's not there,
Right.
that's the answer.
Yeah, that could be done, I would think. One of the things that I thought of since I spoke to Mark earlier today is the question of, you know, the vehicle laws and parking allowances with permits. When we do these permits for these homeowners, like on these streets, like we just did for Wood and Wilson, we sign the street. Are we gonna be able to have a permit system for a recreational vehicle without a sign?
So if you read that, it addresses that. So before they would issue any kind of a ticket, they have to be able to verify that the person knew. So if it's one that they've never dealt with before, obviously they would roll up, they put some, I believe it says they put some kind of notice on the windshield, or they could reach out to the individual, but I agree, there would have to be a sign. The other thing is, if you have a resident who's called in the past and who's gotten a permit, certainly they're not gonna be able to argue later that they didn't know about it. I mean, initially you're gonna have that hurdle to get around, but you know, you're gonna have to issue a lot of notices under the windshield. But as it proceeds, I think that's gonna be few and far between.
I have a question, this is a free permit.
Correct.
That
So,
was,
if I own an RV and I wanna take it out, I just come down to the borough and I say, hey, I wanna take it from these dates, and they give me a permit. So, two questions, who's to say that I don't come get a permit, and I just leave the dang thing in my window?
Because their dates are written on it.
I understand there's gonna be dates on it, but you're talking like an orange yellow card this big with some dates on it this big. Who is, what I'm getting at, it'd be very easy for people just to drive by and see an orange sticker in the window and not really pay attention to the dates. Or, I'm that guy that says, well, I'll just go down there every week and I'll get a free thing and I'll throw it, I'll just cycle it out.
I
don't wanna
believe-
move, I don't wanna move my.
10 per year.
Oh, 10 per year.
and we can modify it as needed, but that was what they decided. There's a specified time in between, I think, a week,
Yeah,
and
5
they would
days
only
in
allow up to
between.
10. We can make it whatever you
Also,
want.
if a complaint comes in, then if you can't, the officer can't read the permit in the window, we would have a copy of something when
Right.
it came in, we could check ours out.
Sure, there'd be some kind of copy that we know when the vehicle is supposed to be moved.
Right.
Well, I mean, 10 times per year for somebody that is an avid camper. I mean, that's,
But you can tweak the.
I'm just
What he's
saying.
saying is this is something they can work with, that makes sense to, you know, if they're having trouble enforcing it, this would work.
And I don't think you need signage, there's a lot of ordinances that
You're
don't
right.
have signage.
Our trailer ordinance now doesn't have sign.
Right.
Right,
So if you-
so it's the same thing, right?
That's, yeah,
Right.
so let's just do that.
But we can do up, what, you know, if you decide, maybe
that's-
you wanna think about look at this, the
But
parameters.
that's for the RVs.
That's where the,
What about the tractors and trailers? Cause I've had a lot of complaints in one section of town about tractors
so
and
my
trailers.
initial thought was that we were gonna tweak the current one, whatever vehicles it prohibits, to meet that. If there's something else you wanna add, that's fine. I suggest that when I reach out to the solicitor this coming week about the other issue, maybe I could work with him on
Yeah,
this too.
we could talk about that.
And just to talk about the tractor and trucks, even if we cite them under the current, you know, the ordinance as it is, and I've spoken with Ken about this, we have no tow capability. So I could give him 25 tickets, he can keep throwing them in the trash, I can't ultimately tow that vehicle. We don't have tow authority on a tractor trailer in the borough.
It'd have to be added.
Right, so there's no,
And it could, just like the snow emergency route, it should have to be added.
and he would, you know, if they don't pay the Middletown Borough ticket that we give them, then Officer Tankersley turns it into a state citation, which then will turn into a warrant at some point, but you're talking about a $51 warrant or $71 warrant. You get like they don't even take those at booking. So we can't, at this time, we can't serve any of those anyway. So those trucks are a big problem, and I understand, especially when they sit and idle and they sit for a long time. I agree, but I'm not so sure. And right over there on the other side of the bridge right here, that's Amtrak property. That's one of the places we get a lot of complaints about. That half a road right there is not our road, and we can't enforce anything
Oh,
there.
that's not where there's.
Yeah,
on
like
Wood
Ann
Street-
Street.
Wood Street.
Right, I understand
Yeah.
what you mean, right. But right now, I mean, all we can really do is give it a ticket.
I think that you should put it on next agenda and let him talk to him in the meantime. And then, I think that having a placard that the individuals downstairs can grab and fill out and they sign it is the answer, because we don't need signage to go with it. And if there's a situation where that initial hurdle, who's been warned before, that's gonna be on the police to keep some sort of
We'll figure it
master
out.
list as to who they have warned via something on their windshield.
Why don't we work for the, goal of having something at our next workshop that we can all look at, maybe?
Yeah, I need to look at something. I need to look at something.
Great.
And just one more thing, if you do go the placard route, I'll just say that the placard route currently for parking up around the campus and stuff, that might be a good idea to have something hanging in the window, cause right now it's pretty difficult to know what vehicle belongs there and what doesn't
I
belong.
think it's currently a piece of paper, which unfortunately can be Xeroxed easy enough.
Right.
So having some kind of a more permanent, maybe like a college type permit that goes over
Like
for the
Harrington,
permanent people, for the, you know, the Grandview, and then I guess you guys are just.
down Wood, Wilson, something to hang from the window, or a decal on the back window, something that we can readily
Bumper
identify.
sticker for the trailer or something,
Right,
maybe sell it to McCall, something.
it's a thought.
For the
Well, that's-
campers, by
that's
the
a-
way, to prevent that Xerox issue, the individuals downstairs should use the seal on their signature. So that when they identify one in the windshield, you can't just, anybody could write with permanent marker, you wouldn't know if that's Carol's signature or not.
Mm-hmm.
Let Carol do it and then seal the signature. If it doesn't have the seal, it's not valid.
Well, couldn't you could do that without any permit, right?
With what?
Without any permit. No, she said.
Yeah, I guess she probably should use the seal.
Are you feeling cool enough over
So, next workshop we'll deal with this, right? Okay. Thank you, Mark, for your work on that.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. I think that's a good suggestion from, East Hensborough.
Anybody have any questions for the police then?
No, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So Jim, do you recommend, because I know I brought that up to Ken today about parking, do you recommend them staying in that?
I do. Because I'm even thinking about, I just, you know, if there was
Yeah, I
a,
think that you can do it.
I mean, if you think about it, if you, even with dump permits, if you know what the sheet looks like, I could recreate that in Word in 2 seconds. And I could take that down there, and you really think that one of the public works people are gonna analyze whether or not that's, if I know what her signature looks like, I can mimic that too. I cannot mimic a seal.
That's a good idea. And it costs us nothing.
It doesn't cost anything, it takes an extra 2 seconds for it to scan.
Okay. Agenda item number 7.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Good evening. We issued 14 building and zoning permits in January. We did 10 pre-sale sidewalk inspections, got a half a dozen complaints, and issued a couple of notice of violations. Attached to my monthly report is the letter from the planning commission. They reviewed the proposed zoning ordinance for the parking space increase from 1.33 to 2 for apartments.
Yeah.
They approved that January 27th meeting, so. And we also have the engineer from Dollar General here, because he gave me some revisions to the exterior of the building. I don't know if you want to do that at this time.
Yeah, it's actually a good point. I was just talking to Mr. Sykes about that. If anybody doesn't have any,
On the zoning issue.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Right.
now we need to advertise and hold the hearing, which might be a minute long by the court reporter here. And then, if there's a meeting that will follow right after, so it'll be like the first minute or 2 of the
So
meeting.
on next month, next meeting's agenda, we want an item to advertise, approval to advertise the ordinance.
Yeah, and this is under the MPC, so it's a special advertising that we advertise 2 consecutive weeks, no more than 30 days before, no less than 7 days before the quote-unquote hearing. And I can coordinate that with Grace if that's how you want to do it. But we do need, we should have a court reporter here, even though she'll probably be here for a minute, because there's officially a hearing where public comment or anybody wants to talk about this is a good idea.
The hearing will happen at the subsequent meeting from our business meeting where we're approving the advertisement.
Yeah, we can do it then if you want, we can approve it at the, either approve it now or.
Approve the
yeah.
advertisement now, you're saying?
We could do it, or we can wait till the
Work out the
Work session.
logistics, we'll prove it at the
work session.
work
Okay,
session. And get everything in line and then we'll just go.
okay.
Okay.
Al, I have something for you. So the blue house on the square,
Yeah.
there's a major issue on the west side of it. There's like a 3x5 gaping hole, on the side of
With
it.
the gable and the,
Yeah, that they, took the siding up so far and stopped and they had it covered with white flashing. That has been ripped off in the storm, but there's like a 3x5 just gaping hole right into the attic of that house.
oh,
And it looks like a zoo. I mean, there were bats and squirrels and everything that you can imagine, going in and out of there.
okay, I'll call.
So
it.
you could get on them right away.
By 5 feet.
Oh yeah, 3 foot by 5 foot. It's like a sheet of plywood is missing, and it's just, I can look right into the attic of that house.
And that's on the Union Street.
That's Union Street, the blue house that used to be yellow on the west side of it.
It's on the side of the paddock, or what did we call that? The part that they demolished,
Yeah, where they demolished the garage, yeah,
yeah, the carriage house.
yep.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think there's anything we can do about it, but I don't know if you wanna let them know. I was back in the neighbor's yard today, and all of the pressure treated, posts that they used to create the, porch on the back,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they are warped so badly that they're actually coming off the plate on the,
They twisted.
concrete base, yeah, and obviously it's not their fault, but I'm just saying, they may wanna look into that for safety reasons. The posts are so badly bowed, they're actually lifting up off the support plate on the bottom.
Okay, I'll take a look at it more.
If anybody has any objections, I'd like to at this time invite the Dollar General representative, while Al's still here, to go over his Dollar General. Councilor Whittledecker, you have those,
Yes, I handed them over.
Sure, I appreciate you guys inviting me up here. I apologize for, I believe there was a little bit of breakdown in communication on my part. I attempted to send these renderings with some advance notice on February 6th. It seems like my email was a little bit too large and may not have gotten through. I didn't get a notification that it didn't go through, but that's what it sounds like happened.
that's fine.
But anyway, kind of sneak attack you here with some new renderings. And I'm hopeful I received these, photos that I believe Ian had put together.
Those I just, so just backing up here, we just got your email
Right.
today, and I actually had a really hard time blowing these up on my computer. And those I just grabbed off the internet, like 2 minutes worth of, I just grabbed a couple IDs and circulated them around.
Gotcha. But luckily, it seems like, to me, it looks like we're pretty close. To these pictures that you have provided, these pictures maybe have a little bit more detail than the computer-generated renderings. But I think the appearance is approximately the same, plus or minus some color differentiation. But based on these photos, it looks like most of the facades here are the same basic item, which is called a Nichihara panel.
Can I ask you one question before we proceed any further, because I don't want to waste anyone's time? Are the side and back walls, they are metal or brick?
Metal walls.
They're metal walls. Mr. President, I would like to not proceed with any further discussions. That's just my opinion. I think we've made it quite clear that at least myself would like to see brick surrounding the building. I don't know about anyone else, but that's just my statement. I don't want to waste anyone else's time.
Yeah, like these pictures I provided, and even the one that says New Dollar General Store proposed, you can see that on, I mean, obviously you can only see two sides, but you have brick going around the sides with light fixtures and windows. And that particular picture is literally meeting you in the middle, half brick, half metal. It's a little bit more modern look. I do actually like that look.
Whose is this? Whose picture?
This is, so I provided these.
Yeah, I mean,
And this is, if you look, look at the very bottom of it, this is their proposal for this WG XA. this is their proposal that they wanna put somewhere.
Yeah.
I do think that is the news feed that is
Oh.
providing that.
But it
Oh,
says,
I'm
it says
sorry.
proposed for Macon, which is the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
And then there's
Make
one
it
that's,
blue.
all, stucco, it looks like, but it's still a nice, you know, different roofs there, lighting. And then there's another one here that's all brick, you can see two sides again, all brick going around.
This is the nicest one right there.
I do like that, I mean, this one also, Stu, this is pretty nice, there's some, you know what I mean, there's some foliage, you can see the brick on this
Yeah.
side, all brick. I think all of these that I quickly grabbed off the internet were very quick, very fast, but this is what I determined would be the quality and level that I would wanna see, not speaking for the rest of the body.
And Mr. President, I sent you a picture too that I had received, that I actually saw just south of Ocean City, New Jersey, about 2 weeks ago. And that was complete brick. And I could send you a picture of that building. Quite honestly, when I saw that and saw the pictures that you provided to us, I just laughed. I said to my wife, my gosh, man, that's a shame what they think of Middletown.
So let me ask you a question. Real easy one, on the rendering that you brought, second picture down, is there a reason there's not a window in that first bay? Or is that just,
I'm not sure there's a specific reason for it. This is what we had come up with after our last conversation. We tried to give it our best
right, so
attempt.
attempting to be somewhat of a mediator, let me ask you this question. You have now a front and a side totally bricked from top to bottom.
Correct.
I would like to see a window in that first bay, I think that looks odd. But this, from the council president, is not brick, top to bottom, it is brick, I guess it's half. Would it be reasonable to mimic this, because then you are saving the cost of the brick from halfway to the top, and it would allow you to wrap it around both sides, or all sides, which I think Mr. Seitz is concerned about. So therefore, you are saving money, taking off the brick top to bottom on the first two sides, pushing that same brick around to the other two sides, and if you can mimic this top, it has the windows in that I wanted,
Lighting,
the lighting,
and I personally, this is just me, I like these colors.
yeah.
The feel, like the grayish metal, like the gunmetal-ish up top is, I just personally like it, this is my opinion.
I mean, is there anybody, just to give him some,
Is there a reason the one side was still left metal?
Yeah, the thought there, and
Cost savings.
we had discussed this, briefly and in the last meeting, but the thought there is, as far as the appearance from the west side goes, is that we would be able to screen that side so that it's not even visible. We have, they show up here on the renderings, fairly lightly, and I'll have to check the spacing on that. But we're proposing, currently, the idea here is on the civil plan that we are starting to put together here. You have an existing tree line adjacent to the cemetery area. Our idea or our thought at this point was to provide 2 rows of white pines, which are a fairly robust pine tree that gets fairly large. And if we straddle those pine trees, plant them around 6 feet tall at the time, which I believe someone had recommended at the last meeting, somewhere around like a 6-foot tree. If we straddle those and wrap them around the back here, basically no one would see the side or the back of the building.
Cause there's no parking on that side, right?
Correct, no. There's no parking, there's some parking spaces along the front, that you could see it, we could put a tree right there, to kind of screen that, or even a screen fence itself.
Sir, I just handed Mr. Kleinpeter the diagram that Mr. Redinger handed us. If that document in Mr. Kleinpeter's hand was presented to us today, I could accept that.
I think what they're saying, in your rendition, that you have brick the whole way up on the front and the one side.
Correct.
Whereas if you went halfway up, I think that's metal here. And you did it all the way around halfway up, would that balance out the cost of the bricks?
I wish I knew the answer to that. That's something I'll have to go back and ask the architect about. Just looking at that, it doesn't, I know the standard siding is typically vertical, that does look vertical on that
Yes, it
side.
does. This
In the
looks
front,
vertical.
it's horizontal. I believe any horizontal siding is actually the same
Cementous.
type panel, right, as this brick. It's basically a cementitious board panel, that's made to look like a metal or a vinyl side.
Right.
I think what I'm saying is if you came to us with that document right there, you would have my approval. I'm just trying not to bullshit you. I mean, I mean, that's just how I'm gonna put it right now. You know, I don't wanna waste your time, my time, these people's time out here. That's my thought.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I said this to you before, and I appreciate the updates. I do not like we'll make it look, you know, a little more aesthetically pleasing on the front and the side, but not the other side and the back. I don't love that. I think that's kind of, I just don't like it. But this picture that they have referred to, for what it's worth, I said this to you before, if it was a tied vote and this came down to me, if you had this design right here, no different than this, then my vote would be yes. So I think that's what you should take to your decision maker.
And you're saying on all four sides.
I'm saying this thing, 150% on all four sides, and I would like it to look exactly like this. And I think that's what Mr.
Yeah,
Knight said.
that's
I don't know
correct.
what the rest of you are saying, but that's what I feel.
And one other thing that I want to state that the exterior signage that will be along the road, I expect that to be well manicured as well and no higher than 8 feet.
Oh, like the one that you saw down there. No.
I like this one. I mean, I like that too.
That's like the one that you just saw.
I just wanted to clarify, Clue, Dawn, and Angie, I sent, these are in your emails, correct? You have the pictures?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Clarify, you're talking about the first.
To clarify, we're talking about the Dollar General store that has like it's got, the Macon, it's almost like a computer rendering, it's like some metal up top, brick on the bottom.
Yep.
Just to clarify that we're all talking about the same image.
There's a guy in a white shirt and a woman in another person in a black shirt walking into the store.
Yeah, you are correct. Last time we had all sort of talked about the idea of shrubbery or green trees, something. But I'm not sure we were suggesting it to hide the wall, but just to soften the whole look of a very square building.
Kind of like how this
So when
shrubbery
you're
is here.
saying, we'll plant some trees to screen that wall, I'm not sure that's what we were saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It may have been a
Yeah.
misunderstanding.
Not
on
that
my
we
part.
don't appreciate some greenery around here to sort of integrate, as you said, into the other line of trees at the edge of the cemetery, but they in no way sort of screen that sheer metal blob.
Right, which is the thought here behind fairly robust pine planting.
Yeah. And we
Our
appreciate
thought was
that.
if you would just eliminate the visibility,
I don't know that
maybe
that's
it would
something
eliminate
that
that
would.
need.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Hide the visibility. Okay, you hide it today, that tree dies tomorrow, you're gonna guarantee you're planting a new one?
My understanding would be if it's part of an agreement with the borough that it could be code enforced, that tree be maintained in perpetuity. I think that's something that the developer would be open to.
And I should point out, and I don't want to put words in Scott's mouth, but I'm saying this design with your trees. Because I agree with Ellen, it wasn't, the wanting of the trees on this side was not to hide the wall.
If we have to hide it, then isn't that still the problem?
Might as well put up
He was trying to take away from the intrusion
Yeah.
aspect of a huge commercial building.
Yeah.
So this picture, in my opinion, is still with the trees to hide it.
Right.
That's how I feel, but there are 7 council members, I only vote in the event of a tie. All 7 of you should be saying something, so we're not wasting this gentleman's time.
So, I think I stated before, and so I'll just reinforce that, a metal side is not hidden by those trees. So it would need to look like the other side, which is beautiful. Finish the building, you know, we appreciate the baby, you know, one little step closer and closer. So if you're able to make that one next step, that would be good to see. That one step being addressing this side of the building in the way you did this side.
It's a lot better than
This
the
is
first.
the east side, right? This is the
But
east
now
side.
you're saying
This is the
something-
west side.
Correct.
So if the west side could look as better as the east side, that would be even, we'd be getting closer.
You said something a little different than what I heard them say.
Yeah, Ellen, do you want this?
I have it, thank
No,
you.
but do you want, if you were going
Oh,
to,
I see what you're saying, yes, yes, yes.
you want this look, or do you want this one?
Cause that look only has brick halfway up
Yeah, this one's halfway.
on each side.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I see your point about saving brick, just use half the brick and move it to the other half of the building.
Well, I guess what Scott's trying to do is just get down to brass tacks and tell this gentleman, if they came back and said, we can do this exact picture
On all 4 sides,
with the trees, would you say yes?
yes. Mhm.
What do you?
I'm looking to see if anybody on the phone or Jenny, just so this man has some direction.
And just to clarify, I understand after our last conversation, I'm not necessarily the guy that should be here. Bob, a gentleman from the developer's office, had intended to be here tonight. This weather that we have going on, got us like grounded, so
Okay.
unfortunately couldn't make it.
No, we appreciate that. I mean, you're doing a great job, and maybe you can share this with him. And we're always here twice a month, so.
Right, which is outstanding. I think at this point, we're gonna hope to have Bob here for the next meeting in 2 weeks. Sounds like we're gonna
Jenny, how do you
have
feel
this
about
tabled
this?
again.
Yeah, I'd like to see something on all 4 sides.
I mean, do you like this design?
I like that design.
So if they agreed that they would do this design on all 4 sides with the trees, would you vote for that?
Could you drive past that every day?
Sure.
So
Would you shop at that?
You shop there?
So you already have,
Mr. Kluskevich and Miss Lloyd and Miss Knoll, we are looking for your input. Sorry to be so blunt.
Well, I love
They
to
don't
make,
have it.
I love to make the work store.
So, Mr. Kluskevich, you're saying you love the Macon, Georgia store?
I believe it's very nice, I mean, aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
Any other comments, Mr. Kluskevich?
No,
Miss Lloyd or Miss Knoll?
I'm okay with the drawing that you agree upon. I agree.
So it sounds like you have.
so there you go. You have 7 out of 7 members of council plus the mayor saying if you come with this picture, all 4 sides with the trees, you have a deal.
Understood.
And just so we're very, I'm going to be very clear. I don't want you or the other gentleman to waste your time coming here with anything but that. Because that's exactly what it is, a waste of your time plus ours.
Gotcha. Understood. I appreciate the clarification on that and your time spent putting this together. That helps us as long as we have something targeting for. So yeah, thanks everyone for your time. Appreciate it once again.
Thank you for coming.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything for Al before we dismiss it? Okay, excellent. Agenda item number 8. Thank you, Al, for your time.
Right out.
Right out.
Night, Mary Ellen.
Jim Bob.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, Sally. How are you? Does anyone have any questions on my report?
Anybody have any questions for Sally?
I'll point out that the Mayor on Madness fundraiser for fireworks has $100 in it. And we did not budget for fireworks this year in the, general fund budget. And I only bring that up because I just got an email from Bixler today saying, hey, I'll hold the price from last year if you wanna do it, so. you bring
And
it
it was
to-
around, what, 11,000?
Yep.
Yeah, it's 11,100, I think.
You're gonna bring us a few options for the
Yes.
police, slash electric gate fence. And I would like a number on how the not opening the pool does impact our budget,
Sure,
just in general, outside of the police, just like this is
sure.
what it's gonna, this is how it will reflect. Yeah, I mean, do you have anything for us?
No, not other than
Oh,
it's on the,
I love it, okay, excellent. Well, if no one else has any questions, we appreciate it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 9.
No fair, everyone was quick.
Oh boy, you gotta beat Sally's record, you got 30 seconds.
All right, you have the packet.
Thank you, everybody. Should I wait?
No, go, please.
All right. On the report, plenty of things that were on there. I won't really go into too much detail. The vehicle replacement schedule was in your packet. Sorry it's so large, but we have a lot of vehicles and that was the only way to put it onto one table. That was easy to see at one time. I also, we have a unique ability to utilize a portion of our annual liquid fuels allotment to help pay for vehicles. That is an untapped resource. And the vehicle replacement schedule that you have, does count for, it takes that into account. And what I would like to do is leverage the ability to use the liquid fuels funds. And I reached out and got some numbers for leasing vehicles, which would be dump trucks, any of our equipment. And at the time, the rate's about 2.5, which is a pretty good rate. And we would be able to spread the cost of the vehicles over a certain number of years. And at the end of the quote-unquote lease, we pay $1 and we own the vehicle. That allows us to cover the majority of the vehicle cost with the annual allotment from liquid fuels, rather than having very large cash spikes all the time in the budget. It helps spread it out over time a little bit better, and we still end up with owning the vehicles at the end of the time frame. So I apologize for the size of the spreadsheet. I know it's a monster, but I think it's important that as Public Works, we start somewhere with seeing the condition that we have and we move forward. Just this past last week, one of the electric pickup trucks, the 2004, the engine seized up on it. So that truck is basically going to go probably for very little money, since someone's going to have to drag it away. And that was one of the trucks that I would propose to replace with a smaller, like a Colorado-sized vehicle. That would also help with the fleet a little bit. We have enough other pickups and vehicles that in areas where I thought we could downsize a little bit without impacting operations, it's a little bit less expensive vehicle to purchase up front, and it still gets people from point A to point B. So there are things on the replacement schedule. I have looked at it very closely from a budgetary standpoint. I do propose, getting rid of one large truck and one small dump truck and replacing it with one small dump truck. I have looked at it with an eye toward trying to minimize the fleet while still maintaining the level of service that we have. So, if you have any questions on that at any point in the next few weeks when you delve through it, please don't hesitate to reach out.
So Matt, excuse me,
yes,
so
ma'am.
that would, so liquid fuels money would preclude doing a sinking fund?
There was issue, I believe Ken had some issue, or not issue, with some discussion with the solicitor regarding sinking funds, and it was kind of maybe not the best way to look at purchasing our public works vehicles.
Yeah, we wouldn't recommend that. You keep setting up these restricted funds, and within the borough, unlike the fire department or something out there, at some point, that's just part of your budget, you should be dealing with
I
that
see.
and not.
That's,
doing the
okay.
sinking funds.
I know we were saying that, but.
The only reason I had brought that up last meeting was, you know, our fleet is aging, and the fact of life, there's always something that comes up. And what I would like to try and do is work with council and get to a point where we recognize that the vehicles need to have a replacement schedule. We can get to a plan that we agree to adopt together that will work. And then it's not something broke this week, so we have to spend money here or move money around all the time. I would like for us to basically come up with a plan that we all know what we're dealing with in the long term. And that's why I took it out to 2035.
No, Matt, to not to cut you off, I love this. I actually wish the police would do something like this as well for their fleet. I mean, I know this body can't bind future bodies, but I think we should start the precedence as this is what we're adopting, and hopefully council after council just kind of gets in the groove with this is, you know, this is a good practice. I'm all for it, so good job. It looks like you put definitely a lot of time into this. You should definitely share it with the chief, and maybe he can.
I could surely do that.
Produce something similar.
Yeah, to kind of go along with that, I also did put in your packet a breakdown of a proposed plan for utilizing liquid fuels money. Liquid fuels, if you're not familiar, is a fund, and it's a really convoluted how they get the money, but it's basically based on gas tax. And last year wasn't a great year because not as many people were driving. But we typically get the money that I said in the report there. I think it's around $250,000 a year. And with that, a certain percentage of that can be used for vehicles. The rest of it has to be used for things regarding maintaining the streets, but it's salt, paving, there's a whole host of eligible things, and we haven't been utilizing a lot of liquid fuels money. So I sat down and I developed a program where we can start to utilize the funds on an annual basis and work toward getting some things done that are eligible expenses for that. Right now there's $800 and some thousand sitting in the account that could be used for streets, and I'd like to start tapping into that and utilizing it. It's not doing us any good in the bank. So there is still an outstanding loan for the downtown project. That will be paid off. I believe there are 2 more payments on that. So once that's paid off, then we would get the full liquid fuels allotment each year. So just something to think about. I'll transfer with Greg in the next coming weeks now that he's back, and I hope that we can continue some of these ideas moving forward.
Excellent, thank you.
I just as an FYI, I put in a list of sidewalks that we have to maintain. We have to snow blow every snow event over 3 miles of sidewalks.
You're getting a lot of steps.
I'm not. But it's a huge labor allotment for us, and you know, it was just kind of in there as FYI. We have to maintain those. We have to minimize the trip hazards. We have to snow blow them after every event.
I have a question for you, because I was thinking about this with this last snow. The So let's just say we were to entertain the idea where we would get rid of some sidewalks. We'd still, it's fair assumption that the borough would still have to provide pedestrians a place to walk. So let's say we move that to the street, like you had suggested. So now, the snow plows come, say they come around every hour, and they push that snow into that walkway. So now you have a sidewalk that gets snow, and you go out and remove that snow, and it's removed. But it continues to snow, or the salt trucks, plow trucks keep pushing. It's just like your driveway. Think about your driveway. You shovel it, but that ends. So if you were to get rid of sidewalks and remove pedestrian walkways to the streets like you recommended, you would be out every other hour clearing them after the snow plow pushed the snow back in the yard.
No, we wouldn't, we would still be the same obligation of 24 hours after the snow event stops, the same way that the residents are held to. So after the event is over, we would just go out and push it back once the snow's over. I'm not sure why people go out all night long and shovel their driveway when we're still coming around the neighborhood. They look at us and they throw things at us and everything, and I don't understand it because we haven't plowed yet. We're gonna get snow in your driveway.
Well, people still want to be able to have access and come and go. If anything, just in the event of an emergency, heck, I want to be able to get in and get out. So, I mean, I keep my property maintained because I want to have access at all times. But I just, you know, I was thinking about this in this last snowfall, and you have to realize that, you know, I look down on where I'm at on Hoffer Street, where the borough owns a lot of, that snow that's sitting on the street against the curb gets higher and higher and higher and higher. And you're constantly will have to, because that would then be the walkway, the pedestrian walkway would be the road.
Yeah, and my only suggestion was that would be for areas where it's not necessarily a high traffic area. It's a lot easier to push a big pile of snow back with a flow plow than it is with a snow blower.
Do we have to legally, you know, like down Susquehanna Street or out where you're at, if there is no sidewalk, we don't legally have to provide a walkway, correct? Like if we eliminated the sidewalk.
Yeah, I think we might have to change the ordinance, because I think our ordinance might require sidewalk at the property.
So if we,
Well, that's the case, if the property, I live on Hoffer
Right.
Street, but the property across the street from me, which is the borough owned, and they get rid of their sidewalk, guess what I'm doing tomorrow? I'm getting rid of mine.
You just have to make it for undeveloped properties.
Right.
I mean, I'm not looking to change the world, I just wanted it to be brought to the attention that snow blowing 3 miles of sidewalk is a tremendous labor and time drain on public works every time it snows.
Well, I told you
If
before.
2/3 of that used to be done by the homeowners before the flood buyout.
Correct.
Now we have all those.
Yes, we also have to, right now, the Public Works intern, she is going and looking at all of our properties and she is notating and creating a list for me what repairs need to be done as far as heaved sidewalks due to tree roots or sunken sidewalks or water valves that are sticking up. I'm going to come back to council and it's probably going to be a very extensive, I could see it being 6 figures for taking care of these sidewalks.
All I know is running a borough is work. It is. CFDN has to do work, and we're not in a profit business. I get it. If this was my business and I was looking at dollars and cents, I'd be trying to figure out I'd be trying to cut costs, cut corners. I'm not going to be the elected official that nicks a bunch of sidewalks because I don't want to deal with shoveling them and put pedestrian kids riding their bike on the street. That's just that's just me. I'm the elected official. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to answer for it.
Okay.
So, like I said before, I'm just one individual.
Now, you gotta be careful too, because inherently you're gonna be icy streets, so if you have a car sliding and you got the depth, you don't have that bank of snow blocking that. You know.
what if we got you like a piece of equipment, like a 4-wheeler that had a plow on the front, that you could just.
A lot of,
Yeah, you just roll down the sidewalk 20 miles an hour, whenever the ATV's going.
a lot of the issues are the sidewalks themselves.
Safety.
That works great until you hit a sidewalk that's heaved from a tree root 3 inches.
True.
And then the guy flies off the 4-wheeler. So it's kind of a multi-phased, attack here with this. I am looking at getting a power walk behind Broome even the snow blowers, they break shear pins constantly because the guys can't see where the heaved sections of sidewalks are.
I mean, to that point, I mean, we break snow plows all the time, so maybe we shouldn't, maybe we should sell our snow plows and not even do our streets.
I'm not.
I mean, cause we do, I mean, you
I'm not trying to be.
I think Scott has a good point looking at it as to the question.
Yeah.
There was a time when
So-
we had additional departments at our disposal, water and sewer, when we had a big snow like he just had.
Right.
The water and sewer guys would go out and do the sidewalk, and the highway could stay on the street. He doesn't have that now, and it becomes a burden with, you know, the smaller numbers of people that are with it. So, you've gotta work smarter, get better equipment, and make that.
Right, the skid steer's too big,
Yeah.
because the skid steer's too wide, we would remodel everyone's lawn. And the skid steer is powerful, it would destroy a lot of
No,
sidewalks.
we're talking about an ATV, something with a plow in the front.
Well, there's specially snow for our equipment too.
And
There
there
are.
are some, you mentioned the thing that brushes ahead, there are some, and I thought this in the past, aren't there some small, street sweeper type things that you could use on sidewalks?
Exactly.
If we use down here for daily purposes and then took up for snow.
Yeah, the brushes are really good, they'll handle up to a couple inches of snow, and they're much faster
Yeah.
than a snow blower is.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that I do want to explore, and I'm hoping that, you know, we can work that in. I'm not trying to, don't take it as I'm anti-pedestrian, I just know that, you know, we had some folks announce retirement, and I'm just trying to bring things to your attention so that you understand what it is that we're always doing every time it snows.
No, I understand it, and we're gonna talk budget season, if you need more manpower, ask.
I have a question about equipment, and Matt, if it's ignorant, I apologize, but I wanna ask it.
Sure.
You know, snow emergency routes have been very important to me since I started office, and the one problem that happens with snow emergency routes is even if everyone complies, if you get 30 inches of snow, it is still just an absolute mess. Have you ever seen, and that's not that there's nowhere to put the snow, it just stacks up along the entire route then. Have you ever seen the machinery that is pulled behind like a dump truck? It essentially just sucks the snow up and shoots it right into the dump truck, and they take it away and get rid of it. Have you ever seen that?
In the city, we had 2 snow blowers that would do that, and actually we had 4. We had 2 for 2 skid steers, we actually had a large, it was a vehicle-sized snow blower.
It's like a pull behind thing?
No, it was its own snow blower, that's all it did.
It's huge.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the size of a truck.
And they follow the truck.
Yes, and then they would go down through the areas to remove the snow, and then there was just a line of trucks that would pull up beside it, and it would put it into the.
How much
into
is
the
one of
truck.
those, out of curiosity?
Probably, I mean, off the top of my head, I'd probably say $250,000. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have a farm tractor here in the wastewater department with a snow blower attachment. We did that some years ago on our snow emergency routes we went up through, and the trucks would follow.
We clearly don't have the money for that. I'm just saying, in the future, if the budget is ever fixed, and we're able to pull off a purchase of that magnitude, when you have a depleted staff like that, they would save so much time getting rid of snow. Your streets would be cleaner, the snow emergency routes would be clearer, you would be safer, and then they would have more time to do some of the stuff like the
And in our
sidewalk.
community, because we're an older community, more densely.
Right.
Filled up community with housing and the parking, and also the higher ratio of rentals, the concentration of people in cars. We'll get complaints a lot quicker than our neighbors in the township, because we're all pretty much R1.
That's right.
And everybody has, so many people have driveways compared
Right.
to here. So it's about, yeah, and especially on the snow, you know, I got the calls with that big snow, hey, from a couple people, where can we go with our cars till you're done? And, you know, it's a struggle for some people.
I wonder if that's something we could look at a grant for.
Well, to Jim's point, I mean, I think there also may be this, like we used to do, the same solution but cheaper. Like there is different types of apparatuses that aren't as big as that accomplish the same mission that are maybe a quarter and a half the price. I think it's worth, because I was thinking the same thing, not on that scale, but I was thinking with this last one, if we hit like, say, 8 inches or more, we bring in equipment like our skid steer or something, and manually get rid of some stuff off of those emergency routes. This is even a better idea.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember the blizzard, I don't remember the year, I just remember the blizzard, one of the worst we've had in the last decade. And the council at the time actually hired an outside company that came in with dump trucks and, backhoes.
2014.
Was 14.
Yep.
That was my first year. And they, I mean, the streets were, it was impeccable. I'm not saying we have the ability to do that every snowstorm, I'm just saying when it comes to a 30-inch snowstorm, which we've been getting more than we used to, I think
This
it'd be
is
worthwhile
actually
having
the
that.
first one since 2014, actually. That was.
Well, no, we had one like 2 years ago.
Not this big.
There's a couple.
Yeah, you came up with.
I mean, you know,
I think it's worthwhile having, maybe we could look at a grant or something for you to get some sort of, equipment that can address this need, because with a depleted staff, it's equipment that makes up the effort.
I was gonna say, I remember seeing as a kid, and I know Mr. Woodworth is a kid my age, I don't know if Mr. Kleinpier will remember this. HIA, during the big blizzard in 94, 96, came through with the snow blowers he was talking about. So in an event, do we wanna develop a relationship with them that, hey, if there's 16 inches, we wanna look at a shared agreement with them versus purchasing.
PennDOT has snow blowers also.
Yeah, and
Hey,
I
hey,
remember
please.
in 94 and 95, we were probably dealing with the state, and there was that agility program that the state always had. Now you're dealing with an authority, or it might, we could ask, but I think we might come up a little bit different. I think we have-
Just an idea, I mean, I know they have the equipment right out there,
yeah.
and I mean, I've seen them use it in the past.
That's what I was talking about.
And right here, just going back to your
Is that what
idea,
you had?
for, for $3,000, that would be great
At
for
least.
sidewalks.
He's saying that something like this is like $250,000, that's huge.
Yeah, but something like that would be for $3,000, you could use for the sidewalks. You just, you know what I mean?
One of the things, and I know during the last event, both Ian and Jim had called me, you have to be careful taking heavy equipment out onto our streets for snow removal. Heavy equipment is designed to dig, and with the various manholes and appurtenances that we have sticking up, the loaders will basically take them right off and destroy them, because that's what the loader is powered to do. It has a tremendous amount of torque, whereas snow plows hit them and go over them. So I really don't want to use heavy equipment as our go-to for snow removal unless it is a dire necessity, because it's hard on the equipment, it's hard on the roads. I'm open to any ideas. I welcome different thought processes. You know, we use rubber blades here because our streets are in rough shape, and the rubber blades do not cut nearly as well as a steel blade does. But the last snowstorm, I put a steel blade on in lieu of a rubber blade, and 3 hours later it was broken. It snaps a 1/2 inch steel blade right in half when you hit a manhole. So that's why we run rubber blades. But that storm previous to the last one, when it was packed down, the rubber blades will not cut the snow once it's packed down.
Can we open a dialogue with HIA to see what they're?
I think they have their own issues to clean up during a snow event. Revenue is their key driver to keep the airport clean.
Oh, certainly, that's why we pay them $5,000 for that piece of equipment the day after.
Man, I'm just looking this up here real quick, 2020 snow blast that amounts to a dump truck like we have. I mean, this thing is freaking huge. It's only $24,000.
I do not have an equipment budget per se.
I'm just saying it's not $500,000. I'm saying we went from $500,000 to under $100,000.
I'm all about
Real quick.
multi-purposing equipment. I do not like buying single equipment to only do one thing.
So, and we have the truck that would, you know, attach to this.
If
dump truck.
the truck has enough power to operate it, that's,
Yeah, we just, the image that this truck was on was much smaller than the brand new dump truck we just bought.
well, a lot of it deals with the hydraulic flow, not the size of the truck. It's the hydraulic pump that has to run the snow blower itself, which is run off of the truck. There are things that would need to be sized appropriately.
Well, I'll shoot this over.
Okay.
And personally, again, I think as a country and as a government, we will only function greatly if we cooperate amongst each other, and HIA is a government entity. So we need to reach out to them to see if they will do anything with us, even at a slight expense.
Cleaning that snow up in 16 in the city was, if I recall correctly, 7 figures. Now granted, it's big, but that was a tremendous, removing snow is expensive.
Yeah, we're what? Like a block compared to the city.
It is expensive when you bring in vendors to help with snow removal.
Good deal of money during
Yeah.
that summer.
Mr. Confield, Ms. Knowles back on.
Um,
Okay, Matt, do you have anything else for us?
Yes, sadly. I would request approval to close the MCSO for 1 week until February 24th so that we can paint the floor under the bleachers. The reason we need to close it is the floor paint must cure for a week, or else the bleachers will just pick it right back up again as soon as we put the bleachers back down.
If nobody has any objection, Mr. Confield, we can put that on the,
I missed that, sorry, did you repeat that?
To close the MCSO for 1 week
right now?
for floor painting.
Oh, okay, well, I guess, we'll put it under time sensitive business then.
Is anyone even utilizing that building? Because when I've been through it, the table tennis town, there hasn't been anyone in there.
I believe the basketball folks are.
Basketball is using it?
Yeah. Yeah, staff has went through, they've painted all of the lower walls, all of the blue has been painted, the floor is the only thing remaining, so we just wanted to try to get that painted and kind of get it finished off. We talked about the gate, Dennis talked about the police department gate, talked about the engineering for HRG, and we talked about the youth approval. So if anyone has anything, I just wanted to thank Officer Castro with the police department. He provided all public works staff. We have basic first aid, CPR, and AED training last week, so I would like to send a thank you out to him. And we also got notice from PennDOT, we need to remove the sign along Route 230 that currently has some nonprofit organization things on it. I think it has a Kiwanis sign, a couple church signs, a Rotary sign. That needs to be removed out of the right of way. We can't have things in there right away. We have 30 days to remove the sign, so.
How long has the sign been there?
Yeah, but they sent us notification, we have 30 days to move it. So,
Well, they're being real friendly, aren't they?
it's their law. So, I will, that was just kind of an FYI, we will get staff up there to remove that, and we'll hold on to the organization signs, and I can work with Grace to try and find addresses, and we can reach out to the organizations and see if they want their signs back for the various churches and other things. They paid for the signs, I'm assuming.
So they want to fix it.
So, other than that, I will continue to research some grant opportunities, and we will go from there. Also, before I forget, we are working on a proposal, HRG is working on a proposal for the signage. Yes, yes. That sign in Elizabethtown actually functions as a retaining wall. That's why it kind of makes sense to have a high sign there, because it's actually doing something. When M&M Mars had to widen the road, they took some of the yard, so there is yard behind that. I don't know if where we would put a high sign with nothing behind it. It would kind of look maybe strange, just kind of a wall sticking up.
So is this for entrances to the town?
Well,
It's in the middle of
I
town.
suggested for
Well,
up there.
it's got-
Something of that nature, something
where?
of that nature.
For where though?
the entrance to the town, which we just now learned we can't put a sign.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we should have something like this.
I think that looks very
I
nice.
thought we were talking about a display at one time.
Yeah, because Elizabethtown also has like their traffic controller for their lights inside the pillar of one of their walls, so instead of having that silver box on the corner, it's inside a pillar, so you don't even know it's there.
It's my understanding that Mars paid a lot of that project because it was a road to get directly to their plant.
I have 2 other questions for Matt.
Sure.
I just want to note this for the record, so Grace, please take these answers down. The Hopper Park mural project, does the pavilion currently need to be painted?
Yes, I would have painted it in 2021.
Okay, and if the youth had not come to you with this project, who would have paid for the paint, to paint the pavilion?
The borough would have paid for the paint as well as staff time to do the work.
That's all that.
I would like to go back to the whole closure of the gym. I don't believe we need council approval to close that gym for 1 week. I can just
close it.
direct Matt to tell the people who use it for basketball it's gonna be closed that week.
Post a sign.
Okay.
Put something on the doors.
Thanks, man.
And also to follow up something that has been out there for a while, sorry, Ian, I am working with a contractor to get a price to do something with the pavers downtown. The pavers are in terrible shape, there are hundreds of them that need to be replaced, and I think we're just chasing our tail with the pavers downtown. So, hopefully by the next workshop, I will have a price, hopefully sooner, than we can at least get what a contractor would charge us to replace those and put asphalt down. That's really the only solution that's going to work for us there. So again, if anyone has any questions on, I know there was a lot of stuff in the packet, please feel free to reach out to me. Email's best because it helps me keep track of things. And also, I throw this out there, we're probably going to have a plowing event Thursday. If no one has ever been in a plow truck and you want to see what plowing snow is like, we can definitely make that happen. You have an entirely different perspective
I
when you're
think
sitting
we
in
gotta
the
look
truck.
at it.
I don't know if that's,
Yeah, I think we might do this with police department, town our insurance doesn't cover
Yeah.
council people.
Really?
I think so. But, so we need to look at that.
Okay. It's a different perspective when you're in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Agenda item number 10, Suez / the joint venture. Anybody from Mr. representing Suez with us to join us? Looks like they decided not to visit us again tonight. How lovely. Agenda item number 11, council. At this time,
I do. About over a month ago, I had brought up an idea concerning the overhead Christmas lights. I know Matt and I have talked about that in the past, and I had told council to think about that to see what their feelings were. I could tell you that if the council is interested in me pursuing that option in terms of a fundraising event, I do already have one pledge of about $7,000 if we want to move forward with that endeavor. But I want to come back to it.
what is this again?
The swags that are over the street, they take a lot of effort to put up. I think Matt will attest to that. It's somewhat dangerous to put up because they park a truck right in the middle of the road. And you got cars going on either side as our men are, women are surrounding the truck to try to move the swag across the road. So 1, time, 2, danger, 3, it would clean up the town because anywhere where there is a wire going from telephone pole to support the swag would now be eliminated if you simply use decorations that were telephone or pole mount only. I think Matt also said that they are pretty hefty to replace and upgrade, and a lot of the swags are in desperate need of repair. And the 5th problem is that some of these wires for the swags are actually attached to private residences. So you might have the wire attached to a pole. The blue house on the square is a prime example. It's attached, it comes across, and it mounts right to the house. So that swag is attached to some of these private homes. It's really not a good situation. I just wanted to follow up. I know Jenny had already told me she liked the idea, but I gave all of you about a month. I want to know if you support it, because if so, there's already money waiting in the wings.
yeah.
How does everybody feel about this?
Yeah.
I admit, I personally have mixed feelings. A part of me likes the new idea. A part of me likes the tradition of the swags. This is one of the topics where I am undecided, but it's not really my decision. I represent 8,900 people, and I try to put myself in their shoes and what would the majority want or say. And I don't have the answer for that right now.
My point is, because of things that have happened in the past with council, I am not putting forth any effort on this at all. to ask the public or go out and do a survey or do any of those things if there is zero support whatsoever from the 7 of you on this council. If you want me to go out and do it because you like the idea, Jenny has already said she does, and I think she heard some concerns about the swags as well from residents. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's what you said. And I have as well. I will move forward. There's also money already waiting, but I'm not doing it if there is just 100% zero interest from the center.
So with that being said, where I would stand for is I would give my vote solely to the residents of this borough, and if a survey or something was conducted, how the wish of the people is how I would vote. Me personally.
Mr. Renninger, I would say I tend to agree with you. I think that the swags are definitely unique to this town, so I don't want to see them all departed. I take his concerns into great measure. I think maybe like Vine Street would be a great area where we could do what you're referencing, and maybe in the downtown district do swags. It would minimize cost, and it would also be unique because Humboldt doesn't do it, Steelton doesn't do it, and so forth.
Just so I could give the residents multiple options, how do you feel about eliminating the swags except at major intersections?
Well, or you, yeah, I mentioned that to you too last time at the square, but I think Ken said that might be a challenge because of the blue house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so or like down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, I'm not. I'm, I don't think they need to be on Vine and Ann Streets, but in like the central business district where
I'm
it's a
actually
unique.
partial to the way they look when you come in from the high school on Union. I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But the problem is, first of all, they are not level. They are a lot of work for Matt. I mean, we're talking about saving time and cost with manpower. It's just insane. Matt, I think you can attest, if it was a pole-mounted decoration, there's literally a bracket that stays on the pole, and at Christmas time, they drive the truck up, they lift the ornament up, snap it in the bracket, plug it in, and move on to the next one. Does the swag look centered? Does the lantern centered on the double yellow lines? All of that is gone. All the wires are gone. You're cleaning up the town. You're saving manpower. I just want to put it out to the residents if there's interest from the voting members of this body, because I do not have a say in it.
Yeah, I gave you my position. I would
Scott did, Ellen?
vote with the people.
How do you feel, Ellen?
The last time when we were talking about a few of the swags remaining, that made sense to me. I know they've been around for a long time, and they feel like a very part of Christmas here. On the other hand, they've been here a very long time. They look a bit like maybe some freshening up might also be a part of Christmas going forward. So if there are little touches of them, because people feel so attached to the swags, that feels right. But to do something, they are starting to look to me just like we have forgotten to take care of Christmas decorations.
I think there's plenty of middle ground here.
Yeah, and we also talked about having a lantern or something as the decoration so that you maintain that tradition.
Yeah, and Alan, to your point, I agree with you that some of them look dated. I mean, if we're going to spend the money, if we're going to be like Hummelstown, don't even spend the money. Why be just another town? Why be Hummelstown still? I would rather
If we like
see.
the swags, there may come a day, I'm not saying to raise money now, but there may come a day where we get new swags.
Right.
If
So
that
maybe we
is our
put some-
look, if that is sort of
Yeah.
our signature Christmas look,
In some
that
ways.
is okay, but at some point, they may need to be replaced because they are looking a little dated.
But how much
They are
longer? I think I agree with both of you.
The
Where
swags. I mean, don't hold me to it. I think I had seen something that, I think it was a sale flyer or something. I mean, I believe they were 1,500, something crazy like that.
And do we have any comments from Mr. Kluskevich, or Miss Lloyd, or Miss Knoll?
I have no emotional attachment to the swags. I think they look nice. I also think the decorations that you're discussing to mount on the poles, in addition get a lot, if we can get most of the money donated, I have no problem with that.
Oh yeah, definitely, we all know the budget and the funds are very tight for this year.
I wouldn't even ask about this if I didn't think that I could raise it, so I'm confident.
I spoke my piece, I'm definitely open for it.
I agree with Mr. Kevich on this. Jim, we talked about it before, where the flags need to be replaced with something else. We discussed that 4 years ago. So I would be okay with it as long as we can raise enough money to do it.
Understood.
Ms. Lloyd?
I agree with raising enough money to do it. I like the way the flags look, but I think they're outdated. I actually drove through Hummelstown and they had their lights on the poles. I thought it looked really nice. I would favor something that looked a little more historic rather than just like snowflake, even though I thought they were really pretty. I'm not in favor of mixing flags that are, 15 years old in parts of town with like these really great new lights on the poles. So I would favor the poles, but I wouldn't favor mixing them with flags. That's the flags that we have because they're too outdated and old looking.
Miss Lloyd, what were the decorations in Hummelstown? I don't even know.
Snowflake.
I think they were snowflakes. If they weren't, I saw snowflakes somewhere else. I think they were very pretty. I think they were snowflakes and they were beautiful.
Snowflakes and candles.
Okay. Okay, well then I think that gives me enough direction that there's interest, at least from the voting body, that I can broach it with the public. I didn't want, you know how this town is, I didn't want to say that and have everybody, get up in arms if there was just no interest. So we'll see what the reaction is when I bring it up.
If you want, we can, I've ordered the solicitors for almost town, so you just check on whatever they have there.
Anybody else have anything in council?
Yes, Councilor Knoll, earlier on the Hopper Park mural project, you said you had wished that the paint could be donated. What were your thoughts there?
Well, I'm wondering if we could contact like Middletown Lumber or True Value and have your group go down there and say, look, we're doing this mural for Middletown, would you be willing to donate some of the paint for it? I mean, the more we can put out, the less we have to take out of the budget that we keep trying to finish.
So you're saying that the community organization should get donations for the paint?
I don't see why we shouldn't try. I mean, we asked the Human Relations, we're asking Jim to get donations in order to put flags up or something for Christmas. I don't understand why we went out the youth group to go out and try to do the same thing.
Can I just say, for me, as a head of a community organization, I would find that discouraging. To offer, and we are putting in kind, we are also putting some of our own budget towards this. So it's very discouraging for a community organization to put so much forward on behalf of the borough and not feel like the borough has any a feeling of partnership around it, especially when the budget is no more than $600. And when that amount of money I don't know how to crunch those numbers, but there's gotta be some equivalent of the amount of time of staff, and as Matt said, he'd be buying the paint anyhow.
Ms.
So I just
Willenbeck.
need to say from the point of view of someone from, I find that discouraging.
You're asking a question, you already have a motion, it was already made. You can go ahead and do what you need to do, it was already approved. My issue was, I would love to see it be donated. I understand the borough would have to pay for it, I get that. But if you're taking it over, my suggestion would be to try to get it donated. If you already got the motion and it was approved, to go ahead and proceed with it.
Well, just to interrupt the two of you, and I apologize for doing that, I don't think we need to even worry about it anymore. I did receive a text message during this meeting. I don't want to say it's for certain, but I believe you already have the paint covered. So I believe there is a donation for the paint. But I'm not going to divulge the person's name or the identity of the organization, just in case it doesn't come to fruition, but it might already be covered.
And Ms. Willenbecker, like I said to you, I did do a lot of research before I even saw this about from Harrisburg and Carlisle. They mentioned to me a wall roughly the size that you present, about 10 grand.
They bring,
10 grand.
Yeah.
The brewery that I'm doing, you should see that mural, they just
Yeah.
painted it.
So $563 at 10 grand. When I saw that 563, I thought that's a no-brainer when I saw the correspondence I had with them.
Does anybody else have anything under council? Does anybody have any time-sensitive business they would like to bring up?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for Milltown Borough to approve resolution number 2021-7, resolution for authorization to require executive session meeting attendance to be in person, subject to COVID-19 safeguards.
Second?
I have a second by Councilor Seitz, or I have a motion by Councilor Seitz, a second by Councilor Willenbecker. Any questions or concerns? At this time,
You all understand, you have the email, and obviously you read what I posted. Unfortunately, I cannot and will not put anybody at risk in my family and will not be in the executive session. So if you're going to do that, and you're going to deny me the fact of voting on anything that comes out of executive session because I want to keep my mother and my family safe, then how dare all of you?
any public comment?
Sure.
Now, you might want to point out though, I mean, I think we did try to put an accommodation in there, right?
Yeah,
Accommodations. You want me to read that? Yeah. Here, I'll read the whole one.
You did put a combination in there, and I.
Just for the audience, I will read the whole resolution. Whereas the Milltown Borough Council is concerned about its ability to ensure the confidentiality and integrity of its executive session, and about avoiding any concerns or appearances of even the possibility for unintended breaches of confidentiality regarding sensitive and privileged executive sessions that may occur if participants electronically connect from locations or by devices for which confidentiality cannot be controlled and assessed by council. And whereas council believes that it is in the best interest of Borough to require executive session attendance to be in person at Borough Hall or another site as designated by council, but with appropriate COVID-19 safety precautions and appropriate on-site accommodations for COVID-19 isolation for any individual participant who wishes to be in a room separate from anyone else and connected with a secure electronic device of the municipality to the rest of the executive session, unless council by a majority vote allows a different arrangement for a particular executive session. And whereas council wishes to repeal all prior ordinances or procedures or rules of council to the extent that they may be inconsistent with the decision of council to generally limit attendance of executive sessions to secure locations under the control of the borough. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the borough as follows. Section 1. Attendance at executive sessions of the Borough of Middletown Council shall be limited to participation in person at Borough Hall or such other location designated by council in a private room with appropriate COVID-19 precautions being followed for the duration of the COVID-19 pandemic. Section 2. For any executive session participant wishing to be isolated from any other person due to COVID-19 pandemic concerns, he or she shall be accommodated by a separate private room at Borough Hall or such other location designated by council, controlled by the borough, and connected to the rest of the executive session by an electronic device controlled by the borough, with all other private electronic devices, including cell phones, being excluded from such rooms. Section 3. By majority vote of Borough Council, the requirement of in-person attendance at executive sessions may be waived for any particular executive session. Section 4. In the event any provision, section, sentence, clause, or part of this resolution shall be held to be invalid, such invalidity shall not affect or impair any remaining provision, section, sentence, clause, or part of this resolution. It being the intent of the borough that such remainder shall be and shall remain in force and effect. Section 5. This resolution shall become effective immediately, and all resolutions or parts of resolutions inconsistent herewith are expressly repealed.
I have a second by Councilor Seitz, or I have a motion by Councilor Seitz, a second by Councilor Wittenbecker. We've addressed public comment, and does councilors have anything else?
I have a question. Section 3, can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so the majority, at any point, say you're gonna have an executive session, by vote of the majority, you could say, we're waiving it, we're gonna do it by Zoom, so you're not.
So the entire council would be doing it by Zoom, that's what you're telling me, or?
No.
Okay.
So, part of the concern was there's a several-year-old resolution. I gotta say, when I read it, I don't think it added up to anything. It was kind of prepared improperly, so it didn't really supplement anything. But questions were raised about, and that had to do with the general concept of, for the Sunshine Act, that we could use phones, we could use, et cetera. And that general concept, was that inconsistent with this extra precaution for executive session? So we wanted to be clear. On the other hand, it really is up to the majority to set these rules. So if you decided, you know what, for this, tomorrow night we want to deal with something, we want to do it by phone, we want to do it by Zoom, some of us by phone, not all of us, 4 votes gets that done. You can, you have the power to waive this.
In executive session, is what you're saying. They get to pick and choose when somebody can be, so Ian's on vacation, and he can't man the meeting, so now the 4 of them will get together, and now Ian can be at executive session.
4 of any of you at a regular public meeting can agree to waive for an upcoming executive session this. That's correct.
It's democracy, majority rules.
Jim Diamond,
Yes.
can you explain section 2, please?
Okay. So, section 2, to the extent anyone has a concern where, for instance, they say, I do not want to be in a room even if people have masks on, that the borough will set up as an accommodation completely separate room where nobody else is in the room has been sanitized, and the room will have appropriate borough supplied computer connection with, a private Zoom, so that there cannot be an issue of COVID concerns due to, that way there's no one's excluded from the meeting if they choose to come. That's the concept of number 2.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Redinger, that includes such as an evening like tonight where if Mr. Kluskevich, Miss Lloyd, Miss Knoll are all absent and they all wish to arrive for this executive session, we will provide them 3 different electronic devices in 3 separately cleaned rooms.
Correct.
During the COVID-19 pandemic.
Correct.
Yeah, if someone really doesn't want to be in with anybody else, I think it's a valid concern right now that you can accommodate with that. Now, it's up to this council. I mean, these are suggestions and you can reject or change it. I was requested by Mr. Redinger to prepare something. This is what we think legally works. If you want to do it, you don't have to do it. It's totally up to you guys. But it's a valid concern for somebody to raise. Look, I don't feel comfortable coming in, but you do. If you're looking
So
at.
my question is, in section 2, it says, with all other private electronic devices, including all cell phones. So that means that every room that holds executive session, cell phones will not be allowed in there, correct?
Well, can do it, again, it's up to the council, but it would make sense to me in the big room where everybody can see each other, you could have everybody put them all on the table in one place, check them essentially. But, you know, if somebody's gonna be alone in a room, then it would make sense, there's no possibility somebody has in their pocket something that's streaming, you know, there's that concept. We have a couple other clients going through very similar things right now, that's kinda how they're approaching it. It's up to council, you don't have to do any of this, you can do all of it. But that's the thought behind that. It's the concern of people streaming and or recording with a private device, and everybody has a smartphone these days that can do all those things. So that's the concept. And then the other part of the in-person concept is totally innocent, accidental when you're at your house and your spouse happens to walk in the room just when somebody's, you know, saying some important thing. It's not intentional, nobody means to do it, but some of the things are very critical, sensitive, and you know, important for the boroughs, you know, and for other government bodies that are dealing with the same issues right now. That's the concepts of these things, but we do, you know, believe it's important to accommodate anybody's concerns, disabilities, any of those kinds of things that, you know, you don't wanna create a barrier.
And if this was brought forth tonight and passed, correct me if I'm wrong, if none of these three individuals are present in another room, the only people allowed in the executive session would be the 5 of us present.
Yeah, now if you wanted to give them time to get here, you could certainly do that.
Absolutely.
Whatever you-
Absolutely.
If somebody says, I wanna come, now if they, you know, everyone says, I don't wanna come, then, you know, that'd be different, but, you know,
I'm just
recommend
verifying that for
recommend
clarity.
Yes, I mean, that's.
Mr. Clyde Peter, I'm gonna ask you, since you're present, can you call the roll?
Yes.
Reverse alphabetically.
Public comment?
We
Yeah.
did public comment, I asked for
Yeah.
public comment.
Yeah, just confirm, because it sounds like somebody didn't hear.
I will reopen it, public comment.
Jack Still, 37 West Ewell Street. I can't imagine anybody, if somebody wants to come to your executive session, are you gonna wait till they get here?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, my thought is,
Or schedule for another night.
well, my thought is, have them do the whole meeting in that other room, as a thought.
That would be totally up to them, they'd be more than welcome to do
Well,
that.
that's a thought I'm passing on.
But Middletown's not 800 miles, it's a mile, so. You can-
I think that's an excellent thought, and this document has been presented before prior to this evening, correct?
Yeah, and.
Prior to 7 o'clock this evening.
Correct.
Well, I emailed it around, I don't know if anybody read it or not. Mr. Reddinger asked me to prepare it, and I sent it around just so everybody would see it, but, yeah, this is not legally required, this is what's legally permissible, we believe. If you wanna do something like this, we were instructed to prepare something, but this is a council decision, that, you know, how do you know.
Mr. Clyde Peter, call the roll.
Counselor Willenbecker,
Yes.
Counselor Sykes,
Yes.
Counselor Reddinger,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Lloyd,
No.
Counselor Plaskevich,
Yes.
Counselor Knoll.
No.
5-2. Motion carries 5-2. Does anybody else have any other time-sensitive business? Seeing none at this time, I would like to open it up to general public comment. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, members of council, borough staff, and administration. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Councilor Willenbecker, while I'm getting started here, would you mind passing those around? Mr. President, I realize the hour is late, and your preference to keep things swift and streamlined is well known. In light of the restrictions placed on public comment, I'm asking for, within reason, some leeway in discussion of these topics, given that I think a couple questions may come up from this body with the information I'm presenting tonight. In recognition of that 4-minute limit. a public comment. If you could just grant me a slight bit of leeway, I won't talk for long.
Take your time, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate it. When I last spoke to this body on February 2nd, I communicated a desire from the Middletown Area School District to have support from the borough in communicating a public survey that I wanted to conduct. I've communicated back to that body that they do have the borough's support with final approval of what the survey is. That task force is consisted of several subcommittees, so in the best efforts of doing the best they can, they're going to consolidate all of their surveys into one so that we can present at a later time instead of having several surveys go out. So that's my update on that. Matters of public interest relating to human relations in the, excuse me, human relations in the borough and outside the borough. U.S. President, on the first day of office, issued an executive order giving federal programs and agencies 100 days to identify and reserve any policies and procedures that they act on that provide an opportunity for any discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. We want to make sure any borough residents that may pertain to are aware that that's something the federal government is working to address. The commission and hopefully this body will see that as a signal of support to pass the Equality Act that was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives on May 17, 2019. And I would also encourage any residents of this community to reach out to Senators Pat Toomey and Bob Casey to request their support on passing that in the Congress. While this is a great first step on the federal government level to address the equality issues in our civil rights laws, I do also think that, and I hope you'll agree, that this highlights the need for, at the very minimum, updating our local laws to provide additional equal protections to all classes of individuals, at least here in Middletown where we have the power to do that. We hope to do that in the future by addressing and updating the anti-discrimination language in our town's Human Relations Commission ordinance. Moving on to another matter of public interest. The U.S. House of Representatives, and this information was sent out to in your packets over the weekend. I don't think it's here on the table tonight. But the U.S. House of Representatives Subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy conducted an investigation through 2019 and 2020 and issued a report of its findings on February 4th, 2021 that identifies several baby food manufacturers are selling products with high levels of toxic heavy metals in them. This leads to a whole host of issues such as suffering irreversible brain damage and development issues, lower IQ, cognitive impairments, increased risk for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, impulsivity, increased risk of skin and internal cancers, organ damage to kidney, lungs, and intestines, and demineralization of bones, increasing likelihood of fractures and lifelong issues. I'm not going to name any of the manufacturers that are identified in the reports, but these are products we can buy on our local store shelves. As a result of that, as a member of the commission, I prepared a document hoping to get the support from this body to post to the public that uses information that has been posted online from UPMC on how to prepare your own baby foods at home, if this is a matter of concern to you, as I know several members of this body have small children themselves. I would hope they would recognize the need and importance in making sure our residents are making the safest decisions they can for their families. So I would request, at the very least, support from this body to have the House of Representatives investigation findings posted on the borough's website, Facebook, and also the instructional document that was sent to you guys on Friday that outlines how to make your own baby food at home with natural ingredients. The next item I wanted to discuss is what was passed around to you guys tonight. We've identified that there's a need for clearer information on what is going on with COVID in our communities. Could I see yours real quick? I handed all of them out. I'm sorry. Thank you. So this is a report we'd like to present to you every month, as long as this is an ongoing issue. Yeah, thanks, Ken. I really appreciate that. Today, as of this day, and I apologize, I did not want to catch you guys off guard with this information. I just wanted to provide the most current information. So this document, the February document, was prepared today. as of this date and time, the United States has 27,417,468,000 confirmed cases, resulting in 482,536 deaths of our fellow Americans, including 23,119 Pennsylvanians. It's a request of me as the Commissioner of the Human Relations Commission to have support from this body to have this document made available on the borough's Facebook and website. It contains helpful links that are taken directly from the Pennsylvania State Department of Health, as well as the federal government's Centers for Disease and Control, that provides information on mitigation efforts. And I do want to thank all the members of this body for wearing their masks and keeping their distance tonight, as well as the precautionary measures that are being taken. But this document does provide links to our residents that they can easily get to find additional information, as well as testing locations in the state. And also the State Department of Health has an excellent tool that will help you schedule your vaccination and identify whether or not you're eligible for the vaccination in their stage plan. So at the very least, again, I would please request this body's support in posting this information online for our residents so it's easy to find in one place for them. So that's all I have. Commissioner Giles has a couple additional things she'd like to speak to. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Megan Giles, 54 Wharton Avenue. I'm also on the Human Relations Commission. I think I've met some of you, but not all of you officially, so nice to meet you all. I just wanted to add 2 more things that Mike didn't go over. Right now we have 3 open seats on the Human Relations Commission, one which is vital for the Commission to resume official meetings and conduct votes on actions that he alluded to earlier. So we are requesting if the council could please post to the middletownborough.com and Middletown Borough Facebook for those positions. Also, we have created a flyer. I believe you have a copy of the flyer, I'm not sure. Okay. So we have created that flyer that basically just advertises for the board, trying to get people interested and put it out there that these positions are open. So we're requesting that that be added to the Borough Council website, or Borough website, excuse me, and also the Facebook page as well. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Mr. Solicitor, question for you. I know the ICDA enabled folks outside of the town to be a part of our authority. The Middletown Human Relations Commission, do we have the ability to make anyone outside of the borough limits a part of our authority?
Our current ordinance requires them to be borough residents.
Correct. And could that be changed?
I think it probably can. I have to look at the state statute on that, but I don't recall. There are certain things like you can't be a officer of a political party, weird things, but I don't recall if there's a residence. I'll have to check that. I can't say off the top of my head, but that, you know, we looked at the state statute first. If it's in the ordinance, right now, that's what we live by, but, you know, 4 of 7 always control what's in the ordinance after we advertise and all that kind of stuff, so.
I ask because I know a non-resident that may be in there. That's why.
Yeah, I will check that for you.
Does anybody have any other public comment?
Mr. Joda.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I got a text.
Sorry I invited you over a little earlier than I anticipated.
You're alright. I got a text on my way home from work, the little picture showing me some permit parking signs down in front of my house. I'd like to thank you all for that. I apologize, I had some doubts. During my consideration, I'd like to give it to you. I came to one meeting, my entire life. This is now my 2nd time being in this kind of forum. My first meeting, and I apologize if I'm wrong, I don't think I am. It seemed some of you folks don't play well with one another. I shouldn't be able to pick that up on my first meeting. I knew he was a lawyer, and what car he drove 30 seconds after seeing him.
What car is that?
That's not your biggest problem. There's still, and you guys, I want you to hear that you guys can do some good things working together. Continue to try to find a way to do that. Also at the last meeting, this concerned me. Your police officer that was here mentioned to you that if his 2 deputies are over here at a domestic, nobody's showing up at the assault. That would have caused some major problems for this borough if I was 30 years younger. Please correct that. We need a police force in this town. Not everybody's very nice. I don't know what you guys are going to do about your budget and stuff. Comments like the money in the bank isn't doing any good doesn't endear me. The money's fine right where the hell it is in the bank. You're going to need it there legally. That's it. Thank you all so much.
Good, thank you for
We
coming.
appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Take care.
Just wanted to let you know, I spoke to Mr. Kleinpeter and he said we would have gotten letters out to everybody in the
I've
area.
had everybody on my street knocking on my door so far tonight, wondering how the
Yeah.
process is. And
So we would have gotten letters out, but we had somebody out of office for personal reasons. And
Well,
we will be
yeah.
sure to get those out, I think you said, correct?
Yeah, we're getting the letters out. In fact, I talked to the ladies in the front office today, and I think they got at least 7 phone calls and 2 people.
what I've told everybody is
So I
just
think
be a
before
little
time the letters
patient,
get
signs
to
up,
them.
things are coming.
It is a newer process
Thank
for
you.
us, and you know, with COVID and people not working.
I've lived there over 15 years. For 15 years, I've driven home and had to, even before leaving work, I'm calling my wife, can I park? I've no idea how to react anymore. I really don't. I don't know what it's going to be like. Thank you.
Well, we're here to work for you. That's what we
Thank
do.
you.
We know it.
Sir, while you're here, I do have a question in light of the fact that you took the time out of your schedule to come here, and you can see how many residents typically do that. You mentioned a couple things, the police force, the budget. I would like to know how you are personally handling the current tax rate for Middletown, coupled with your other bills. I want to hear from you directly.
I work more hours. What am I supposed to do? There's a town to run, and I understand that. I really don't know. I can't solve your problems, but I know you guys together can do it.
And so
did this simple little thing. Yeah, the
there's
Suez
a-
thing, oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know, you're a lawyer, loophole this. Get rid of those people. Stop selling the things that this town owns. We needed them.
Yeah.
Somebody along the way got rid of them.
Right.
How did you think you were gonna survive having to buy everything from everybody? You can't do that.
Would you agree, sir, that there comes a point if
You're
taxes
gonna
are...
have to raise some, yeah.
No, but I mean, if taxes are continually raised, there comes a point where you can't work enough hours
To cover this.
to
Yeah,
cover
when
it.
it start, it's gonna be.
So therefore, do
I'll
you
be-
support the borough working
No.
together as teammates to come up with creative ideas, outside the box ideas to
That's
save
why I
you?
was so big on this I'm thinking, I'm just giving you guys money, charges for the charges for the permits, we don't care. Oh, here's a big one though, is the tow truck company for these people, we're gonna need that information too, we're looking for that. But, yeah,
See, there
the
you go,
carnival
Matt.
thing.
There's that
was-
tow truck you wanna buy.
The carnivals that the town used to have, bring them back and put some effort into them to raise money. The swimming pool, get the damn thing fixed, whatever it takes. You gotta do something for these kids too, cause they got nothing, that's why we need more police. You've gotta keep these kids occupied, keep them busy. Find stuff for the people of this town to do that wanna get in, nobody wants to come to these, this ain't any fun. You gotta have stuff that people wanna get involved in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Paint the murals.
Mr. Still, did you have public comment, general public comment?
No, I think I'm good, thank you.
I would like to ask a question. We have a request to put things on the social media site. Are we gonna take that up at our business meeting, or are we gonna discuss that any further, or?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to eliminate our Facebook page. I believe it is in the best interest of the citizens of this community to deal strictly with the Middletown Borough government website versus possibly being involved in propaganda.
I have a motion by Councilor Seitz,
The Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Where and then maybe I should wait until you finish what you're gonna do, but where I was going with our social media policy also covers our website page with that. And I was gonna ask if you want our solicitor to review that, because our social media post, that I sent to you in an email today, to kind of get a look at, basically says that all of our posts should express the views of the borough. And, that could mean by majority vote, that could mean, you know, all of you wanna decide what's appropriate, because I get requests all the time. There's plenty of, internet companies out there that try to get additional, what do you call it, activity by putting on everybody else's website flow. And a lot of them are good information, kinda like what we got here on the you know, depending who you're talking to, it's either good information or there's always another side on the baby food information. And they'll wanna put that on, but then lots of times you'll find, are we gonna rule them out for that type of content? Because you'll find that they might have a link to somebody who sells you a service or consulting. And one of the things on a social media site says, no items will be posted of solicitation nature. So that's kind of a backdoor way they get in and get their little advertisement. But the other thing is, you know, when we put up something like the guide to baby food, I don't know where it came from, I don't know who supports it, which doctors support it. As we know with COVID, we had two different groups of doctors saying different things.
Mr. Manager?
So do we wanna get in that?
The last line of that first section of that document states where the information comes from. That's from the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, UPMC.
Exactly, and what I'm saying is there are other universities or other doctors that made something different. Is that something that the borough wants to be involved in? When we get questioned, because the other thing that inadvertently happens, the more stuff that we post like this, people start to call borough staff asking questions, so then we gotta direct them that, well, that's just informational, you'll have to call a number, US House of Representatives if you want more information. It's the only thing I throw out there, we can do it, you know, there are,
How do we navigate through
other,
this?
yeah, how we wanna navigate, what do we accept and what don't? Do we just accept from our committees? Maybe that's one way to do it, and nobody outside. And maybe that gets written into our social media policy, so staff has some more guidance.
To your point, if not for the borough's, social media policy, we would have posted this on the MHRC's Facebook if we still had it like we used to.
Well, the MHRC is an arm of the borough.
Right.
So they would fall under the borough social media policy.
Right, but we had that Facebook page prior to the implementation of that policy. At that time, we shut that page down in accordance and respect to that policy, which is why we came before this body tonight to request dissemination of this information of public interest.
Right, and I only bring it up because after you made your comments, there was silence here. And I have some questions that I wanna get from council as far as clarity and direction. You know.
Not really.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Are they behind it if they are, and, you know.
So, just backing up here, because there's multiple issues. The first action item is we do have a motion on the floor in regards to the borough Facebook page. So before we go, because that's important, we need to digest that and go down that road. Before we go down that road, there is a motion on the floor. Is anybody entertaining a second? And this was in regards to our Facebook page.
Strictly a Facebook page. I have no problem posting this information on our borough website. I just feel that Facebook is propaganda. And as a government entity, we should eliminate ourselves from propaganda.
second? Commissioner Sims?
I made the motion to eliminate the Facebook page, that's all I'll say.
So in regards to posting, outside material on our platforms, I think it's probably best that we have the solicitor review and look at our policy.
So you should deal with the motion first
The
and
motion-
declare it dead if there's no second.
There is no, I did, I thought.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I did,
Okay.
there's no second.
Yeah.
So in regards to posting outside content on our platforms, Facebook and our website, should we have the solicitor look into our existing policy and how we incorporate that and give us some options with some feedback? Give me some feedback, guys.
I think we should, because obviously I believe Facebook is propaganda.
So looking at
For me,
looking at all this
For me,
propaganda.
I'm sort of swaying back and forth that I know our current policy
Okay.
says that what we post should pertain to borough business. And that could have a very wide interpretation or a very specific interpretation. These three examples, or these two examples plus the school board, are more community information, not necessarily borough business. I'm not saying good or bad, but they are different. They just seem different to me. So if we are going, I think what I hear you, Ken, saying is, this is a different matter that I think would take more vetting or guidelines or a disclaimer in neon in front of the bill. I don't know what it would take.
Well, I just think even the report, which I don't know anything about, I haven't read it, and it may be a very good report, but by posting it, does somebody see us as us endorsing the position of the U.S.
Exactly.
House of Representatives, and we don't really know. I don't, I have enough to do to get into this, or are you okay with that? We just tell people it's just informational, we don't support it. Because the social media policy kind of tends to lead me to believe it's, we're posting business that the borough is behind
Exactly,
or
right.
in support of. So that's where I was looking for the clarity.
Mr. President, I make a motion to eliminate the Facebook page of the Middletown Borough as it is propaganda.
I second that motion. At this time, I'd like to open up for public comment. Seeing no public comment, does council have any questions or concerns?
I'm sorry, what was the motion again?
To eliminate the Borough of Middletown Facebook page because we cannot associate ourselves with political propaganda.
But in what way is it political propaganda if we are just putting our own borough business on it?
I as a citizen don't want our government to be affiliated with an organization that limits free speech and believes that certain people are delivering propaganda.
Oh, that's what the motion
I don't want to do business.
I see what the motion is.
I have this thing here about COVID, who cares? I'll post it all day
I see
long.
what the
I'll post it all
motion
day
is.
long on the
Okay.
borough website.
Just need clarification.
We are driving as a town business to a site that limits free speech. And I'm against that. I'm against that. They are limiting our free speech, and I don't care if somebody uses it. I know everybody in here probably, except for he and I, use it.
I do use Facebook.
You use it?
I do use it.
I don't. I've always thought it was junk. I really think it's junk now. But I feel that it limits free speech.
I will say this, as the person I think sitting at this table that has used Facebook the most over the last 7 years, I have to agree with him that I have lost a lot of respect for the platform. I personally am going to continue to use it until my term as mayor is up, because that is the relationship I have established with the people of this town. If they are looking for an update, they are looking for information, and they think that Mayor Curry is going to disseminate it, they know that's where I'm going. So until my term as mayor is up, I will continue to use it. I cannot, however, I don't really have a good argument against Scott in terms of what I have seen from Facebook in recent times. And that should say a lot coming from me. I really don't have a great argument, against what he said.
We have a motion by Councilor Seitz, a second by Councilor Redinger. Mr. Manager, will you please call the roll? I did public comment. I did do it.
Okay. Counselor Willenbecker,
No.
Counselor Seitz,
Yes.
Counselor Renninger,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
No.
Counselor Lloyd,
No.
Counselor Pliskevich,
Yes.
Counselor Knoll,
No.
Motion
4-3.
Motion fails, 4-3.
I know,
I
no, you
just-
got
I just asked for a vote.
I respect
I gave him a second to, out of respect, to bring it to the floor.
Absolutely.
In terms of that paper that he's asking you to publish, I think Scott, I think you should just put it up, the one where it tells people, that's purely informational in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it, no. Yeah, just for you two, it's nothing against you.
Well, no, by all means, we do need to take these things into
And
consideration.
we have
but-
always posted openings for commissions, that's not a problem.
Right.
Mine was more specifically guidance to the public on a health issue, you know.
The only reason we request is, it's part of our duties to educate people and develop human relations in the community, and no better human relation effort is the public health and the livelihood of our people. And we're unable to conduct events at this time because we don't have a quorum. We can't present officially because we don't have a quorum. So we're coming to this body, laying to you at the mercy of your decision to please put out this information of public interest that we would do ourselves if we had the means to. This body has the power to approve that, to make those decisions. I would hope everybody sitting at that table and listening at home could agree that there's no political nature involved in any of the information we're requesting be posted. It all relates to public health. Thank you.
What you want us to, what, make?
Yeah, you have three things, you have the openings, the COVID, and the just.
Well, the openings, we always, that's not even a question, we always advertise openings.
So you can do that.
So what, we'll post the code,
It's the other information, so.
So the other two are, you gotta.
So,
The Gerber,
I'll make a motion to post the, community code board statistics to the,
borough platform.
borough website and unfortunately Facebook page.
yeah, some of this stuff's gonna be hard to pay for.
But he's only doing this two-pager
Right now, we're just at this.
He's on this
Right
one.
now, we're just here. I have a motion by Councilor Seitz.
In fact, this is January and February. Mike, would it be most relevant just to put up the February?
Yes, I only brought January as a point of reference because my intention every month is to provide an
What
update based on the prior month's number.
The first page, February.
Just the,
Okay.
I amend the motion to approve the community code bulletin for February 2021. Do we need to do it moving forward through that, or
Just
just February 2021?
Second.
at this time, I'd like to open up public comment. Seeing no public comment, I have a motion by Councilor Seitz. I have a second by Councilor Willenbecker. Any councilors have any questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, I was moving a little fast.
Are you posting the bulletin or the handouts? I'm a little confused.
Just the bulletin, just one page. It is the community COVID bulletin for February 2021. Just that informational bulletin at this time. That's what this motion is for.
Okay. I didn't have that. I don't have that in my packet, but okay.
I'll send you a picture of it right now.
It lists the town, the county, the state, and the.
We can take it.
And again, to reiterate, that information is as of today. That's why it was not sent out over email over the weekend. I wanted to provide the most up-to-date information as possible.
Or it's through February, through the end of February.
Well, no, it states on there specifically the first line, information as of February 16th,
Yeah,
2021.
The top of the page gives the statistics in terms of confirmed cases and confirmed deaths of COVID in the United States of America, Pennsylvania, Dauphin County, and Middletown specifically, as of today. Underneath that are links to websites in terms of PA COVID testing locations, PA COVID vaccinations, COVID complaints, and so that's informational purpose. That's the entirety of the page.
Can I see it sealed, that big bulletin thing?
Well, they're not gonna be able to see what that
I
is.
know, I understand. Everybody, we're on this.
Grace should have sent everything else out to you guys on Friday,
Okay.
as far as those documents.
So-
Sorry.
And
Yeah,
what was, I just tried to look in my email and I couldn't find where you highlighted the, thing from our social media policy. Can you read me that again?
are you looking at it now? Are you looking at it now? It's just under content guidelines, section 4. All posts should only reflect the views of the borough. There's other things, obviously, that.
Letter D, if that helps. 4D, the last sentence.
I'm done if you're waiting.
Okay, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn to executive session, not returning.
What, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, the other documents we requested be shared with the public? Can there be a decision made on those as well?
The baby food and the report from the, House of Representatives, staff report.
I just think that sort of general
Well, let's,
information we need to think more carefully about.
yeah, but
I'd like to have a little more time to think
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
we have a motion on the floor as well, so let's just, I have a motion to adjourn the meeting,
To executive
to
session.
executive session,
Second.
to discuss personnel and potential litigations and not returning. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, we're gonna take a 10-minute recess, allow staff and, residents to clear. And,
Good night.
Mr. Kluskevich, Noel, and Lloyd, are you guys attending?